Not That Kind of Christian here on the morning of a Sunday, the 8th of September. Not at church today, but I wanted still to read something that I consider really nice to read. It's a beautiful, fun kind of thing to read, and the words seem to me in this very, very old book, written especially for children, the royalties from which still go to Great Ormond Street Hospital. This is Peter Pan and Wendy by J.M. Barrie. I want to read that for all of my friends as well at Magway Methodist Church. Sorry, I can't be with you this morning. Yeah, still getting through a few mental health issues, but getting help, I hope, and also ending up feeling quite calm at the moment, but kind of don't want to be anywhere much at the moment. So let me further calm myself down and distract myself by reading something that I like reading, and I want to just mention a few of you by name as I'm not there. Don't worry about the banging during this reading. My wife is doing some flooring upstairs. Yep. So, want to mention Chris, of course, by name. Want to mention Wendy. Want to mention Jane. Really want to mention all of you. Julia, Sonia, everybody, even Gordon. Hope you got on well with the sale, the late summer sale at Magway Methodist. Hope you did really, really well. Right, there you go. For those who don't like the causes with which I am deeply associated, well, come and have a word with me if you don't like them, okay? But back to something nice. And J.M. Barrie from Peter Pan and Wendy. I'm just going to have to reposition the camera during the reading. As I say, if it sounds like the ceiling's coming down, it won't, okay? Are we sitting comfortably? That's what they used to say when I was a kid. It used to be on TV story time programs. Are we sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. And indeed, I will begin. It's from chapter 4, The Children Escape. It was beautifully light in the nursery, for Wendy had turned the lights up when she was sewing Peter's shadow on. She and he were still sitting all comfy and cosy in the big armchair. The next thing Wendy wanted was to know was why he was so fond of coming to the window. She thought, of course, it was to see her. Perhaps to get a little sewing and mending done. Talk about mending, you can hear it upstairs. But this was quite mistaken. Hang on, I'll just pause for a second. Yeah, it's like trying to read to a class when there's a pneumatic drill going on outside. Oh yeah, I was once a trainee teacher. Oh boy, does that have some memories attached to it. Yep. Peter was a truthful person, and rather a heartless one too. So he told her, though he could see she was disappointed, he came to listen to the stories Mrs. Darling told the children at bedtime. He said, you see, I don't know any stories, nor no more no more than any of the lost boys. Nobody ever told us any. Oh, poor boys. And I do say boys. And this page has clearly been turned down by the way, beginning of another chapter. Yeah, poor lost boys. Chris and the lost boys, you're just amazing. You're just amazing. Stay well, stay blessed, stay safe. Wendy thought this was perfectly awful, Peter went on, so I come here to pick up any odds and ends of stories I can. I love that idea. The bother is, I never hear them right through to the end. How many times do we only get half a story? Nudge, nudge, nudge. Oh, Wendy, your mother was telling such a beautiful story last time I came. What was it about? About a prince who couldn't find a lady who wore a glass slipper. Slipper? Yeah. Oh, Peter, said Wendy, quite excited. That was the story of Cinderella. Prince Charming, no, stop doing that. And the prince did find her in the end, and they lived happily ever after. Peter was very pleased to hear this. He jumped up and rushed to the window. Wendy cried, "Wherever are you going?" "Why, to tell the other boys." "Good lad, Peter." "Oh, no, Peter, don't go yet," said Wendy. "I know lots of other stories." "Oh, that's heaps of stories I can tell you." Peter came back with a greedy look in his eyes. "Come along," he ordered. He gripped hold of Wendy and began pulling her towards the window. "Oi, unhand that girl." "Let me go," Wendy said, wriggling. "Ah, nice girl there, wriggling against this. But I want you to come back with me and tell us the stories. You could be a sort of mother for us." Oh boy, this is getting so Freudian. Wendy was pleased at being asked, but she replied, "Oh, but I can't. Whatever would Mummy say? And I can't fly either." "I'll teach you," said Peter Pan. "We must jump on the back of the wind, that's all, and away we go." Oh, how lovely. And you could go on flying about among the stars with me instead of being asleep on that silly bed. Such fun. And when we get to the Neverland, knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Twice on the back means you ain't gonna show. There are mermaids and fairies, and Peter was going to say pirates, but he thought he'd better not mention them, as he had an idea that girls were easily frightened. Think on, lad, think on. They are not easily frightened. So went on. "Yes, Wendy, and you could tuck us up and tuck us in at night, the way Mother does, and darn our stockings." Sounds like a good job. "And tell us the stories we've never heard." "Oh, it would be splendid." "Oh," said Wendy. "Yes, of course it would be splendid. But would you teach Michael and John to fly so that they could come too?" "If you like," said Peter, who didn't really care about Michael and John. So Wendy shook her brothers awake and woke them up. "Peter Pan is here," she said, "and he's going to teach us to fly." The two boys were wide awake in a moment. Sounds like me waking up, but definitely not like Sharon waking up. But Peter made a sign to them to be silent. John cried, "Turn out the light." They listened in the dark. There wasn't a sound to be heard. Even Nana, who'd been barking miserably all evening, was quite quiet now. But Peter, whose ears were very sharp, heard footsteps in the distance. It was like Nana's barking had so much annoyed the little maid Lisa, who was mixing Christmas pudding in the kitchen. She got muddled between suet and sugar, the raisins and the currants, and put too much of one thing and too little of another. At last she became very cross and fetched Nana indoors and took her upstairs to the nursery. "There, you silly," she said to Nana. "You see, there's nothing to bark about at all. They're all breathing sweetly in their beds. Oh, thank goodness they're breathing." But Lisa little knew what sweet breathing was behind window curtains where the 3 children and Peter were hiding. And there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I shall leave it for the day. That is Not That Kind of Christian, living in Galston, Great Yarmouth, signing off with a bang from upstairs. Thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you when they're playing.